Hi, welcome back to Stacy's Kitchen. Today we're going to be making a comfort food favorite, a hunter's stew of sorts, favorite Italian-American dish of mine, Cacciatore. I'm going to start off with some chicken thighs. Go ahead and season them generously with some kosher salt. And get my pan ready. I'm going to start out on about medium-high with some olive oil on the bottom. You could use a skillet for this one. I've got this kind of wide, deep pan that's great for making like one-pot meals and things. To that oil, as it's heating up, I'm going to go ahead and add in about a cup of diced onion. Doesn't have to be perfect, but toss that in there and let it start to get fragrant. Okay. As that's getting fragrant, let me just go over the other ingredients that we're going to be using for this super easy weeknight wonder. I've got about 2 bell peppers here, diced up, just rough chop, no big deal. You could use red bell peppers or yellow. I just happen to have green in the house, so green it is. I've got also about 16 ounces of sliced mushrooms. These are baby portobellos. Whatever's on sale, whatever you've got on hand will work. I also have 28-ounce can of diced tomatoes. If you wanted to use crushed tomatoes instead, that's perfectly fine. Or if you want to take these, throw them in the food processor for a couple minutes or use your immersion blender to make them crushed, that works too. I've also got about a teaspoon of dried basil, a teaspoon of crushed red pepper, and I've got about 4 cloves of sliced garlic. You could dice it if you wanted to, perfectly fine either way. Okay, the only other ingredient I'm going to be adding, of course, is about ½ cup of red wine. All right, my onions are starting to sizzle. Give them a quick stir. I can't think of much else that's better than the smell of olive oil and onions. If you're throwing garlic, oh my goodness, maybe it's an Italian thing, but yum! It just screams home. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put in my chicken breasts. The idea is you want to get them browned on both sides, which is going to be about 3 or 4 minutes on either side. I'm going to put them in skin side down first. Just kind of pushing the onions to one side with my hand. All right, get rid of that and wash my hands up. You know, on a dreary day, it's been kind of rainy here today, so on a day like today, there's, in my mind, just nothing tastier and warmer and just says home more than a nice plate of some pasta with some chicken and mushrooms and veggies and sauce together. It's just, nothing says home more than that. Okay, so I've got that ready. I'm going to let it kind of sizzle a little bit more. For the sake of time, I'm just going to add my ingredients a little bit more quickly than I normally would because, don't worry, I made one up ahead. We're good. But typically it's going to take maybe 3 to 4 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes to get brown on either side. So once they're brown on the first side, you're going to flip them over, let them get brown on the second side. Grab my tongs, see how they're cooking. Yeah, they've got a couple minutes to go, but that's okay. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and plate up the one that I do have ready, if you want to see it. I've got a plate close by. Now, when I make my cacciatore, here, catch up to me. When I make my cacciatore, I like to have it with some pasta, either some thin spaghetti or, you know, thick zucchini would be good, something that's going to hold on to the pasta. Now when you're hold on to the sauce rather, when you're cooking the pasta, you want to make sure to keep some of that pasta water as you drain it out. And also, you're going to want to put a little bit of the sauce in it as soon as you finish with it so that it gets settled into its new home, if you will. I'm going to fish out a piece of chicken breast, or 2 chicken breasts. size. All right, and a little bit of the sauce. Now this particular sauce is going to be a little bit looser than say your average marinara because it's more of a stew, if you will, traditionally speaking. That's why I like to do a diced tomato as opposed to a crushed, so you've got more loose liquid. Whoa. Put that to one side. All right. I'm going to top this with a little Parmesan Reggiano, and then I'm going to let it cool because it's really hot. And if I try to taste it now, I'm going to burn my mouth. In the meantime, I can go ahead and check on my chicken and see how that's coming along. All right, ooh, I'm going to go ahead and show you this. Okay, you can see how we're getting some good color on that chicken. That's what you want to see. I'm going to fold it over. All right, and I'm going to turn my heat down just a little bit. And at this time, I can go ahead and start adding in my other ingredients. I'm going to start with my peppers. Dump those in there. I love a meal where I can just dump things together and they just do good things, but I don't have to do anything. That's my favorite. I'm going to add in my tomatoes next. All right, so you can see you can just dump that in there. All right, the other thing can't believe I forgot to mention, that I'm going to add is about 2 tablespoons of tomato paste to kind of boost up that fresh tomato flavor. I got one. All right, 2 of those in there. And then I'm going to pour in my garlic. Again, you can mince it or dice it if that's what you want to. I just like to slice it because it tastes good. I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. Now, the reason you don't want to add the garlic too soon, like when you're sauteing the onions, is garlic has a tendency to burn really, really quickly, and burnt garlic is just not a pleasant taste at all. It will ruin everything. So be sure not to do that. To this, I'm going to add in my mushrooms. And if you're not a mushroom person, could you skip them? You could. But it really tastes good. So you can certainly add those in. You can hear my sizzling has come down to almost nothing, which is good because it's going to need to just cook through now. All right, I'm going to go ahead and add in my teaspoon of crushed red pepper. If you didn't want that much crushed red pepper, could you scale it back a little bit? Absolutely, half a teaspoon, quarter of a teaspoon, or skip it. You know, I like mine a little arrabbiata, so I like the red pepper. Also going to add in that teaspoon of dried basil. And you're going to notice that it doesn't have a whole lot of moisture in the sauce. Although the tomatoes, when you buy them in a can diced, typically they come with some liquid. You're going to want to supplement that liquid. I'm going to supplement mine with about a half a cup of red wine. Pour that in there. All right. And I always have kosher salt on hand for seasoning. I'm not going to season it just yet because I really want to make sure that everything is cooking and the flavors have started to meld together before I try to give it any additional seasoning. All right, so I'm going to stir this up. And I'm going to grab some pot holders so I can show you what this looks like. I can bring it over. Okay, so here we are in the pan. So what you're going to start to do, again, just kind of stir it together, let everything combine, and then you're going to set it on the stove on medium-ish, depending. I wouldn't go any more than, say, medium-high at the most. And pop a lid on. Or, okay, I'm going to turn mine up to 6, about medium-ish, medium high. I'm going to throw a lid on it, and I'm going to forget it. Depending on the size of your chicken thighs, it's going to take maybe 25-ish, 30-ish minutes. Again, you want to make sure that that chicken is always cooked 100% through. So when you're sticking a meat thermometer in it, it should register at 165. And in this case, we're going to go firm 165 because it's heating in a stewed type of environment. So it's going to be cooking up at the same time. All right, so leave that. When you are about 10 minutes or so away, that's when you can drop your pasta. So I would have started my pasta water boiling as soon as I put this on the stove when the chicken's been browned and the rest of the ingredients have been added, so that the water can start coming up, because we know boiling a large pot of water can take a little bit of time. If you're using just a regular spaghetti, you're going to figure maybe 8-10 minutes depending on your doneness. I usually like a thin spaghetti, so we're talking maybe 5 to 7 minutes or so. Again, gauge it on your preference. Drain off your pasta, retain some of that water, stir it together so it doesn't stick, add a little bit of the sauce to it. At that point, your chicken and everything should be ready. I'm going to let this one continue to cook while I try this one that has cooled off beautifully. All right, grab my fork. And you can see when you get a good look at it, it's got great mushrooms and peppers and just a home goodness kind of taste. So I'm going to cut off a little piece of everything. Hopefully I can get that magical bite. I'm trying to get that magic bite where you've just got a little bit of everything and it comes together perfectly and you're like, oh my gosh, this is how I intended it to be. That's what we're going to go for. Let's see how it goes. So I got a little bit of chicken and grab a fork full of some, let me see if I can get you to be able to see this. Get a little bit of chicken in there, got some pasta, got some mushroom, missing a little tiny bit of, there we go, some pepper. Here we go. Put it in my mouth. Okay. Nothing could be quicker, easier, and more satisfying, especially on a weeknight. If you're looking for easy, comforting, satisfying, chicken cacciatore is definitely the dish for you. All right, that's all for today. With love from my kitchen to yours. See you next time. Bye.